Our public school education include today's colleges. They promote DEI, but there's no diversity of ideas and thoughts or real history classes in terms of philosophical differences. So, for example, I'm an Asian American. You would think my perspective should be considered part of true diversity, but I cannot get into schools and colleges to give my true diverse perspectives because I'm not agreeing with the leftist narratives.
Now, before you listen to this podcast or watch this podcast, what I want to do is I want to play a video, a very viral video that took place a couple weeks ago between David Hogg and the person I'm actually interviewing in this podcast by the name of Lily.
My name is Lily Tang Williams, and welcome to my live free or die state. Actually, I am a Chinese immigrant who survived communism. And under Mao, 40 million people were starving to death after he sold communism to them. And 20 million people died, murdered during his Cultural Revolution. So my question to you, David, is that can you guarantee me, a gun owner tonight, our government in the US, in DC, will never become a tyrannical government? Can you guarantee that to me?
There's no way I can ever guarantee that any government will not be tyrannical.
Well, then the debate on gun control is over because I will never give up my guns. Never. And you should go to China to see how gun control works for dictatorship of CCP.
Now that you've watched that video and you now have some context about why I'm interviewing Lily, enjoy the podcast. First of all, I want to apologize. I know that I know you'd reached out to me some time ago on my Twitter, but my Twitter is a mess. All of my inboxes are a mess. And I actually only discovered the message when I went to seek you out on Twitter, ironically enough, after seeing your speech that you made at the David Hogg, I guess it was the David Hogg debate, so to speak. And for people that don't know, I'm going to put it at the beginning of this video. I'm going to put what you actually said at that debate so we can really just kind of jump right into it. And I was initially supposed to be the person that was going to debate David Hogg. It wasn't at that particular event, but there was an event that we were supposed to have a debate, and he already said he would do it. But when he found out that I was going to be the person that he would be debating, they backed out. So, so I guess he went and did this debate. Figuring, I guess, he would be in a better position to look better, not realizing the person he debated actually made him look really bad, and so did you.
I was actually surprised he actually showed up.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very surprised because he usually doesn't do anything outside of his own echo chamber. If it involves anybody on the other side of the issue, he usually doesn't do it. So I was a little surprised too. Now, so tell me the backstory about how you even got there to the debate. What made you decide to go to the debate in the first place?
Well, I follow my friend Spike Cohen on X. We met before at a Freedom Fest. So he posted about this Dartmouth College debate. And I always wanted to go to college campuses to connect with our students and tell my stories. And doesn't matter how many leftists there are. And I said, I want to go. But by the time I trying to book the ticket, it was sold out. I said, wow, this is a hot debate, And so I reached out to Spike to say, I cannot get a ticket. Can you reserve like 2 seats for me and my husband? I would really like to go, and I like to connect with students and tell my stories. So he said, yeah, come to my reception, come to this event. I'll try to get you in. So that's how I went there with my husband. And of course, I follow David Hogg too, and I comment on his X account once in a while to kind of trying to give him my 2 cents, but I never got a response. Yeah. And that's how I ended up to be there. And I was excited to say, actually, it was like lots of people showed up, including some students.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, David Hogg doesn't engage with anybody else outside of people who agree with him. So I'm not surprised he didn't respond to any of your X comments or tweets or anything like that either. So when you got there, so you got to the event, but then how were you in a position to actually ask a question? What was the process for that? Did they?
Well, it was about 1 hour debate moderated by a student on the campus. And
Mhm.
so when the debate is over, I think Spike made a better, stronger argument. And then there was time for questions. So we got two lines, and I stood on the left line. I was second place, and I just, we have limited time. I just thought I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask him this one simple question. I made up my mind. I'm gonna ask him just one simple question to see how he answered it. I
Mhm.
actually was surprised that he gave a straightforward, honest answer according
Mhm.
to his instinct. If it was, let's say, politicians, and they might lie to say, "Oh, we will never become tyrannical government," but he gave honest answer. He's young, and that's what his hunch tells him, and so which I gave then honest response that
Yeah.
and he did not understand. I studied Constitution. I studied the Declaration of Independence, who brought me to this country from China. So I know the Second Amendment right is
Mhm.
intended for us to fight against tyranny. It's not for sports, for hunting, for fighting against criminals. It's actually fighting against a tyrannical government. So that's whole point. It's like if he
Yeah.
cannot guarantee that, then debate's over.
Yeah, I think what happened with David Hogg was, I don't know if you did it consciously, but you utilized a strategy that I was taught when I was in law school in terms of how to get somebody to give you the honest answer when you're giving a direct or cross examination. And then what it is, and the short version of it is, when people don't know why you're asking the question, their default is to tell you the truth. When they think they know why you're asking a question, they'll usually try to dance around it or they'll try to lie. And I think if I had asked him the same question, he would instinctively know I, the basis for why I'm asking that question. Whereas seeing you up there, he probably didn't expect that from you, especially hearing your accent, your demeanor, and all of that. He initially just thought, I don't know where she's really going with this, but I'll just answer the question honestly. And I think inevitably, to some degree, that's why he answered the way that he answered. Because I think he would have answered a little bit differently or been a little bit more hesitant to answer if I was the one asking him the question. So that's why I thought it was
Right,
very awesome that you were the person to be able to deliver the question, because
right.
I wouldn't have been able to do what you did.
Right. That's why, because he does not know me.
Mm-hmm.
I also did not say, "Oh, I'm a Republican congressional candidate." Ask this question that will put him on the defensive
Yeah.
position. I want to have honest, exchange. So I just
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I'm just Chinese immigrant. I have
Mm-hmm.
this concern. I have this question." So, which is great because I think that he might have answered differently if he knew, "Oh, I'm a Republican congressional candidate," which I don't want to involve with politics. I just
Yeah.
want to ask a very common question that lots of people like me who fled totalitarian regimes want to know, because we cannot own guns. I never touched any guns when I lived in China for about 24 years. And
Now, before you finish watching this video, I want to quickly talk about the AKT1 Blackout Wireless In-Ear Hearing Protection with Bluetooth. I like to call them the AirPods for shooters. I say for shooters because AirPods don't protect your hearing, but these do. They are hands down my favorite in-ear hearing protection that I've ever used, and I mean ever. With a certified NRR noise block rating of 25 dB, 6-time hearing enhancement, and advanced noise cancellation, the Blackouts ensure clarity and comfort. And stay connected with the high fidelity speakers and enjoy up to 10 hours of uninterrupted use. So, if you love your hearing as much as I do, click the link in the description section and order your pair today.
not because I skipped my military camp training. In college, we're supposed to have a
Mm,
first year freshman military summer training.
yeah.
And I went to sightseeing, and so I delayed my reporting date. I skipped entire the military training, so I never even touched guns. They did touch guns through their military, like a mandated training, but I skipped it because of flooding. I said, "Hey, it's Sichuan flooded. I cannot, get to the school on time." So I never touched guns. I never touched any guns in China.
Gotcha. So the very first time you ever handled a firearm was here in America.
Well, my boyfriend, my husband's family at that
Mm,
time to say, "Hey, would you like to go to shooting with us?" I said,
mm,
"Sure." And when I first touched guns, I had no knowledge of rules, and I was scaring everybody because I just pick up gun and just point. It's like, oh, what is this? What is this? And then they are saying, Lily, it's like a number one rule: you don't pick up gun and point it at people. You have to pretend there are bullets inside. So they have to teach me and all the basics. So I learned from them directly in Texas. They all live in Austin, Texas. That time I was a foreign student, in UT Austin, a Longhorn girl. So I learned, and then they teach me how to shoot. And I think I tried some handguns, and I was very scared when I first time touched guns, actually, because I did not know how to handle it. And but I also had a sense of excitement. It's like I want to say what it is, because I know about Second Amendment, right? But I just never put it into practice and go to shooting ranges and learn the lessons on how to handle it. So when I keep doing it and I keep practicing it, the more I do it and the more empowered I feel. I feel like my 5'1", stature, actually all of a sudden it's like I have some leverage. I really feel empowered.
That's freaking awesome. Yeah, no, that's usually what that does. A lot of people, your journey is very similar to a lot of people's journey in terms of the first time they ever shot. They'll shoot for the first time, and it's kind of scary at first. And then after a while, once you understand that, no, you can control this chaos that's going on, then it starts to become empowering. And that's the thought process that I try to evoke in people all the time when I have these conversations about gun rights in this country is, no, you're supposed to feel empowered. That's not something you should feel guilty about. Guns do make you feel empowered. And as long as you continue to embrace and engage that empowerment responsibly, I think it makes the country better. And speaking of which, so what caused you to leave China? Like, how old were you when you left China initially?
And that was 2 months before my 24th birthday.
24th birthday.
And I was
Gotcha.
actually a faculty member in a law school at the top 5 Chinese universities. And I wanted to study law to actually transform China from a rule of man, which I witnessed under Mao, how horrible that is, to a rule of law. But I totally lost the faith in law school because they told us, our country, the law purpose is not for justice and equality, protecting people's rights. It is actually just a tool for the ruling class to rule over people. So they told me that in the first week of law school class. So I become totally depressed, like why I'm studying the law. I'm the tool, a legal system is a tool to govern the masses, so-called the people, by the basically one-party dictatorship. So I got lost. So I was looking for answers and look for options, and I was a very rebellious student. I skipped classes. I went to dancing parties, and that's where I met a foreign student and from United States. So I was a third year student, and he said, "Come to my dormitory. I will show you something from U.S." And I had no idea. My English wasn't that good. So I went to his dormitory. You have to register to get in, and you have to tell. And there's a guard. There's a guard at every foreign and students and scholars building. They separated, specially protected from the regular Chinese students and
Gotcha.
and the teachers. They want to track you, who goes in there, who goes out, how long you've been there. And so I registered, and I was surprised. He actually showed me a paper pocket constitution and read to me the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. And he basically told me, this is our founding document for the USA. Have you heard those words before? All men are created equal. And we held this truth to be self-evident. I said, no, I never did. And I said, what do you mean all men are created equal? He said, Lily, it doesn't matter if you're a girl, you are Chinese, you are a human being. Your rights come from your creator by being you, and they're not from any government. And so you have individual rights. That my light bulb came on at that moment. I said, I'll come back. Let's talk more about America. So when I went back second time, I did not register. And I just slipped in when they old lady goes to bathroom or put a hot tea or something. And then he told me more about First Amendment and Second Amendment, and I was just like mind, like blowing away. And it's like this is a awesome country. If someday I give up on my native birth country, I have to flee to for freedom. This is the country I wanted to come. So he planted seeds into my head. So when I graduated from law school, I still wanted to try my best to see how my career is going to work out as a faculty member and a part-time lawyer on school campus, practice law to rebuild China's economy. But my faculty time was not, satisfying at all. And we had to go to political studies, and in law school, you have two lines of supervisions. One is by the party, Communist Party of China. One is by the academic dean. I like my academic dean, but I did not get along with my Communist Party boss in law school. And we all must join the party in order to work for the law school as faculty member. So we had to go to political study meetings and say kumbaya, but my light bulb came on, never could turn off. I was not happy sitting there listening to all the same BS, about, in continuous, party, indoctrination. I was 21 years old. I said, I cannot do this forever. I'm going to just become a career ladder person, go become a professor, assistant professor, and then I die. It's like, this is not the life I want to live under, because they were constantly interfere with your personal freedom too, not just academic freedom. Everything has to be politically correct. So I thought about America again. And thank goodness in the 80s, that time, China was relatively opening up to have economic reform, foreign investments coming, and for the the experts and the scholars and students coming. So they open up exchange relationship with the United States universities. So I could apply to go to graduate school in the US. But I had to do that privately, because if they knew I plan to escape, I might never get the permission. Because my real reason to come here to study is not for the sake of a master's degree to study. I want to come here, and America was my promised land. I want to come here, live under freedom, and never go back. But I don't know how to leave. You have to get your party permission to give you the permission to go to apply for passport. That means they legally allow you to quit your job to go get your private passport. People don't understand what this oppressive regime really does. You don't own yourself. So that's how I did. I just say, okay, I'm going to change my strategy, kiss the ring, get a permission to leave. I got accepted by UT Austin to go attend the graduate school. So I went to, after they gave me permission to leave and sign agreement, the promise go back and do all that stuff, I got my passport, and after 7 trips to the local police station and 3 trips to U.S. consulate in Shanghai. When I got my visa, people touch my hair when I come out of the door, trying to get a little bit good luck from me. How did you get a visa? Like, no, your 1 foot is already in the US. You need to buy ticket. And then you'll be out of China. They all trying to hug me, touch me. They were so excited for me.
So that's interesting. So would you say that the vast majority of the people that you went to school with, they all were desiring to go to America as well?
Well, lots of people that time in China, their life, they feel like, oh, it was not too bad, and Mao died, and economy is getting better, and people can start making money, to become rich. No, lots of them were not think about coming to the United States. I woke up earlier because of my personal experience on that campus, and kind of the ideal job and the purpose of working there. It just it did not really satisfy me, because I found out I could not say whatever I want to teach my students, and I had to go to political meetings and studies. And my communist boss was a very hard line, and like basically communist. and wanted to tell me even what to do in my free time. He told me, don't go to your student parties. They're student, you are faculty member. You need to mind your personal lifestyles. Like what? They're trying to control my personal lifestyle after my work hours. It just all that
Wow.
infringe, cross the line, and I just wasn't happy. I was really depressed, and I did not have a smile anymore after I graduated, become faculty member. And that's when I realized I gotta get out of this one party, because I could not change China to rule of law society under one party dictatorship. That's when I realized I could not achieve my goal. And so I have to think about another alternative, doesn't matter how hard it is.
Gotcha. So, uh, so it's interesting because, like you said, you had your awakening, but I felt like you kind of were always that way. Like you kind of already had questions beforehand while you were going through the system. What do you think sparked that? Was it your familial upbringing, or do you think that just was inherently naturally your personality that caused you to start questioning things off the bat before you even ran into your now husband?
Well, it's a combination of both. And if you don't know about Sichuan people, we are like Western Texas. So Sichuan people are in the West country, next to Tibet. And there's a
Mhm.
famous saying that Sichuan people are the most, like the rebellious group of people. Sky is
Ah,
high, emperor is far away. And also, I personally inherited this rebellious gene. My grandfather was a very rebellious and country outlaw leader who was killed. My grandma fled the village with my mother was only 2 years old, to go to Chengdu, the capital city, to seek new life, and later married to my and step grandfather, because I never met my real grandfather from my mother's side, because he got
mm,
killed. And but he was outlaw leader. And my dad's side, my dad grew up as orphan on the farms in the countryside, and illiterate, never went to one day school, but he's always fighting for himself against the bullies, against poverty, against the Communist Party officials who treat him like animal, not like a human being with dignity. So I think I inherited those genes. So when I was looked down on as just poor child from working class family, and I always tell myself, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to do best, I'm not going to be like my parents. Like my mom's totally different personality. She will get down on her knees and beg for
mm,
salary increase under Mao's Cultural Revolution, because we were living on food rationing, and we did not have enough money to even have plenty of food. So my mom, well, she was weak and passive. She would bake. My dad would fight. So I think I was born with my dad's fighter's spirit. And my husband always tell me, "You were born American. You just did not know it." Because I want the government to leave me alone, to treat me with respect as a human being. When they did not do that, I just had to bite my tongue. I had to just swear to myself, I'm going to get out of here, get out of poverty. That's why I studied real hard to go to best university possible, so I could change my life. I went to Shanghai. It's like from West Texas, travel to New York for some, good school or something,
yeah.
university. And that was actually my ambition. I got to get out of Sichuan, and I got to learn how big China is, to get the best education so I could change my life. I never thought about that moment I was going to United States someday. Only after the China opened up, it was possible for me to even consider that option. Of course, an American student put this concept of America into my head. It's a
Yeah.
free country. I will have guaranteed rights, and in the constitution, and also this individual natural right from my creator, not from any government, not from any collective groups. Just free my mind. I could not turn that light bulb off.
Yeah. So when you coming from where you come with your background and then now being in America and then seeing how the conversation is happening with respect to the Second Amendment, and I could say the Constitution as a whole, but I think the most attacked right that we have in this country right now is the Second Amendment. What are your thoughts? What is your perception about the way things are in America right now, based on your background and your history and what you experienced?
So my awakening process in this country is about 20 years. I arrived in May 2008. I wasn't political and I was trying to learn English, get my degree, and got married, raised three children, then later start my own business. And I become grassroots activist, actually. I first awakening was 2008 when I
Mm,
feel I finally understood how things work in the US and why government is talking like what I heard before. And with my husband's help, and I start to read some other books, I learn more about real China's history and lots of lies I was fed to. And then I also start to notice United States government is changing. So I feel like 20 years later, when I woke up, I said, oh, I thought I come to a free country. I don't have to do anything. My constitutional rights will be there. And I wasn't big, like a gun, like called a gun nut. I just saw
yeah,
my rights going to be there until that in Colorado, the Democrats wanted to limit our magazines, wanted to make all the college students illegal to carry guns to protect themselves. I think that was first time in my life in the US. I got scared. That was 2013, 11 years ago. I jumped off the sofa. I went to state capitol and waiting in long line to testify to against the gun control laws. I could not even get in because the line was so long. So I talked to Dudley Brown, who actually was Rocky Mountain, gun owners president as expert witness. He's gonna go in first. So I
yeah,
said, Mr. Brown, can I go in with you as your assistant? Because I could not stay here whole day. I got three kids at home. But I'm
yeah.
Chinese immigrant. I'm totally against this gun control. So he actually said, okay, you come in with me. So I bypassed long line to go to state capitol to testify. And I was sitting next to him, gave my strong 2 cents why I was against this all those gun control laws. And nobody even asked me questions. And it was on my YouTube channel, Lily Tang Williams. So
Yeah. Well,
clarified why are they
uh,
trying to do this in the United States to limit my gun rights?
gotcha. Sorry, yeah, I lost you for a split second, so that's why I said hello, but you're back
That's
now.
okay.
So just go back on the last point that you talked about. You were talking about you went in as his assistant, and then you started giving your 2 cents about you being against this proposed gun legislation. Just start from there because we kind of lost you for a little bit.
Well, when I was sitting inside of state capitol there to testify, the Democrat did not have a question for me. I
Okay.
was very passionate. I said, hey, I grew up in China. The citizens are disarmed. We cannot fight against a one party dictatorship government. Why are you trying to do this to me? Do you know what happened in Tiananmen Square? Do you know how many thousand students were gunned down by the government, soldiers with guns? And why are you doing this? Are you becoming like China or something like that? And I think they passed the laws anyway on the party line. Ever
Uh-huh.
since that, I I become grassroots activist, not just against gun control, but also against like a Common Core under Obama and centralized education. So I have not stopped ever since 2013. I wrote a first article to be published by National Review Online to say
Hmm.
guns against tyranny, September of 2013, and to voice my opinions. And so that's why people can track my record going way back. But I also see our government got bigger and bigger and more powerful, and more this like ignore the regular citizens' voices, and
Yeah.
so that's infringement of our rights. So I feel like I got to do something about it as a citizen by choice. I'm not just coming here, live under freedom, think, oh, my rights will be not changed. No, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. So why do you think it is that you have one half of this country who have lived here, they've grown up under this freedom, but yet they're still so willing to give it away? Like, why do you think that is? Like, for instance, people like David Hogg.
Well, I think they're products of American education. American
Mm,
education, classrooms, colleges have been infiltrated, hijacked by the Marxists. Let's explain to you why our kids sometimes include their younger parents, they do not understand horrible history of socialism and communism. They always disarm people first. And they also are trained to be trust in the government, trust in the politicians, and trust in the mainstream media to fit their leftist narratives. It's like all the Chinese. I met 4 Chinese college students on vacation in Venice, Italy, 2014. They keep arguing against me to say, they're telling me the Chinese government narrative, oh, Chinese cannot be having legal rights to own guns because the country will be totally in chaos. So I had to spend 4 hours with them in the restaurant to change their mind to say who benefits, people have guns or only government have guns. Do you think the Chinese government benefits from gun control? They're smart kids, they finally got it. At the end of that 4 hours, they said, what can we do now? We cannot fight back. I said, well, just like when I'm talking to 4 of you now, you go back to China, you have no access to truth, you have no access to real internet, but tell people what I said tonight to you. And one person can change 20 people's minds, then 20 people is going to change other people's mind. So it's like a grassroots educational awakening. And so it's the same thing here. If people are not looking for different kind of opinions and news source, they always trying to trust government and the politicians and the big social media, legacy media. It's like they're blocked by knowing the truth. And our kids are not properly educated, like David Hogg. He has no idea that what we went through, what happened to us. So when I shook hands with him after the debate to say, David, I'm sorry you have to go through the horrible tragedy of mass shooting, but do Google research on Mao's Cultural Revolution and the Red Guards. I don't want you to be used for politics. I hope he will someday to do some research on that, but looks like he quickly went back to X and promoted gun control again.
Yeah, no, and the sad thing is a lot of people don't understand the Red Guard and how it utilized the youth, basically weaponized them to such a degree.
Yes.
They were literally terrorizing China, and it goes to show how fast and how easily things can really turn into chaos when you have a tyrannical government that then weaponizes a certain group of the people against everyone else.
Right. I think they really, it's like our public school education include today's colleges. They promote DEI, but there's no diversity of ideas and thoughts or real history classes in terms of philosophical differences. So, like, for example, I'm an Asian American. You will think my perspective should be considered part of true diversity, but I cannot get into schools and colleges to give my true diverse perspectives because I'm not agreeing with the leftist narratives. I got disinvited by a local church in New Hampshire because I'm against the critical race theory, the cultural Marxism, identity politics. So they said, well, we did not know you're against the critical race theory or your organization. So let's not have you over as a speaker anymore.
Yeah,
So that
that
tells you they don't realize when you have that kind of mind control by the Marxists, that side, they don't want to have a conversation. They only want to, the people who agree with them to go to their churches, to go to college campuses. So we have to give Dartmouth College a credit. The political union, which is a free speech club, is allowing this kind of debate happening. I'm hoping they will invite me to go back there, debate the Marxist professor. But they said, well, but nobody has taken up on that right now.
and they probably won't. But
Well, because they
I
say
just
how
want,
I destroyed David Hogg, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
she
oh yeah,
left
no,
and
we don't want
she's.
those. Yeah, we don't want those problems.
But
So
if I won U.S. Congress, though, I will have a big microphone. I will
yep,
have a U.S. House floor on C-SPAN to give my strong 2 cents. Why we don't want to go down the path of totalitarianism, bigger government, gun control, or the socialist policies. American ideals to me to live the American dream is freedom, free prosperity, and free enterprise, free market. and a personal responsibility too, and rule of law. But all those things are under attack today. That's why I feel so passionate. I have a mission. I have a duty to come out to run and to tell the truth and to sound alarm to our fellow citizens.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that being said, for people who want to look for more information about you and what you stand for in your belief system, where can they go to find you?
And they can go to my website, lilytangwilliams.com. I have all my issues there. You can sign up to get my newsletter update. You can sign up to volunteer to help me. And we need the donations. We need the volunteers and more bigger media exposure too, because I'm going to represent all the freedom-loving Americans, and especially people in my state. But they need to discover me, and I'm nobody yet. I'm on the target list of leftists and China's Communist Party. So I will have uphill battle to fight in this primary and in this general election. But it's not even about me to win in this race. It's about our country. It's about our American dream. That's why I said I'm running to stop this Marxist cultural revolution and save American dream. I'm very active on X, like you and I follow each other there, and Facebook shadow ban me, and so I can only post more long political stuff. But I truly believe American citizens, if we are awake, we are activated, the silent majority is speaking up and take advantage. We still have some freedom of speech before it's too late. We all need to activate ourselves, come out against gun control, against censorship of free speech, and against this weaponized government and going after your political opponents. If we are united, there's nothing we cannot achieve in this country.
Well, I want to thank you very much for agreeing to come on and have this conversation with me.